Hi Intertubes. Okay, today I'm going to talk about a car that I have had my reservations about for a long time because a lot of people say that this is the best M3 and I beg to differ. So without further ado, here you go. We're talking about this car, the E36 Bmw M3. Produced from 1992 to 1999. This is a 93 3-liter 5-speed. In 1995, they came up with the 3.2 6-throttle 6-speed version, which is the facelift of the M3. So 95 onwards, it got the 3.2 that you find in the E46 M3. I personally feel that the E46 is better than the E36 M3. I've had the E46 M3 and now driven and own the E36 M3 as well. I can honestly tell you my honest personal view that the E46 M3 is a far superior vehicle. This is the, as I said, the 3-liter 5-speed manual. Vader seats with confetti fabric interior, and it is different. It is totally different from the E46. The E36 is an older car, and while driving it, it is evident. You can feel the age, you can feel that it's older, you can feel that it is not as peppy, not as responsive. The steering is heavier, the steering is less direct, and we get that it has iron lower arms, iron cast iron, all the cast iron lower arms and joints. You know, its drivetrain has nothing that's lightened compared to the E46. E46 has a lot of aluminium arms, which lightens the unladen weight of the car, makes the car feel lighter, more spirited and peppy, easier to change directions. This car feels old, looks old. Interior as well, I like that timeless big aircon on the dashboard, but it feels old, it looks old, and it has the smell of the old BMW. It is similar to the E30s that you get, very similar to E30 smell. But anyway, the touch and feel of all the interior plastics is inferior compared to the E46. So moving into the engine area, if you notice, even in the engine bay, you don't get a very impressive looking engine as compared to the E46, given that this is not the 3.2 with these individual throttle bodies. This engine looks very common, like it's an engine commonly found in any of the BMWs of that era. As long as it's inline 6, you're normally greeted with this view, this lump right here. Aside from driving, the brakes also are not as they are inferior compared to the E46, and yeah, I don't want to keep knocking it. It's actually overall it's a very good car. Being a BMW, it's great. It does drive well, but compared to the E46, it loses out by quite a lot. It's mostly the drive feel. It's mostly the drive feel. It's not the power. There's no problem with engine power. I'll do a startup for you, no problem with power. It sounds great. It has the same raspy feel that raspy sound that you get with the E46, but this car has aftermarket exhaust, so this car sounds a lot louder, a lot fiercer. So I don't really like this in the E36. This is a very common part that sags and you get noise from here. All this plastic interior feels quite cheap, to be honest. These plastic bits feel very cheap. This feels like it's from the E30 era. Gear shifts are very nice. I can't complain about its gear shifts. Steering is where it loses out a lot compared to the E46. And aircon panel, very common to have this face not being clear. So let's go for a short drive. Sorry about the sun exposure, but hopefully you guys can see well in this. I'm trying to do a Hoovies, and if Hoovie can video his car while he's driving it, I should be able to as well. Yeah, so anyway, this is how it feels. This is how it looks. Hopefully y'all can see this nice. Aircon blows nicely, aircon is nice and cool. However, there are some interior creaks that probably can't get rid of, or you'll spend a lot of time chasing down. Interior creaks, I think, in this car is very common. Even in the E46 you have some, but that is a younger car, hence you don't have so much of interior creaks and cracks and noises. This car suspension still feels great. It has aftermarket suspension, BC Racing. It tracks very well, but there is a little bit of a vagueness in the steering feedback. And another thing that you will notice very quickly is that the steering wheel is off center. It is not 100% center to where you would like it to be, and it's not facing you 100% in the center. So it's a little bit offset to the left for the right-hand drive version of these cars. Pedal box, the pedals are fine, they are perfect. It's only the steering wheel that's off center to the left, offset to the left. Interior space is fantastic, very good interior space in this car. And yeah. This car is very low. Very low. Engine response is actually very good. This engine is still the 286 horsepower engine. and not too bad, quite peppy. It's got good, very good NA response. Still a 3 liter, so it's responsive. It has the torque. It has the torque to push the car. This car feels quite tight. Feels pretty good, but it loses. You can feel that it is an older car. It does not have the modern day sports car feel. It is very close, but if you have driven the E46 M3, this leaves a lot to be desired, because the E46 M3 is such a good car. It's just such a good car, and this cannot be compared to the E46 M3. It just can't. I'm just being very honest with you. If there are any BMW M3 die-hard fans out there who are E36 aficionados, I think you guys will be flaming me by now, but I welcome it. I've experienced both the E46 and the E36, and I can honestly tell you that the E46 is a far superior vehicle. Both will need to be driven with respect. They do have a bit of a scary feel at high speed cornering. Well, not scary. Well, it's got very high limits. So anyway, you've got to go very fast in order to feel scared. But there is a sense of a ability of the car losing its rear. In both forms, in both the E36 and E46, more so in the E36 in this version. But if you compare it to a E92 is like driving a very modern car. E92 is almost like driving a computer game. That's as close as I can. I don't know how else to relate it to you all, but the E92 is very easy to drive. You don't have the element of fear of losing the rear and getting caught off guard. The E36 and E46 you still have. E36 more so than the E46. And obviously, as you know, the generations get younger, the newer ones are much easier to drive, more driver friendly, and has higher limitations. So anyway, that is my honest opinion on the two cars, comparing the E36 and E46 M3. Even in SMG form, the E46 M3 is far superior. I personally favor a SMG car because I really like to drive an SMG car. It's easier to use. I'm a bit of a lazy guy. As you can see, I'm not even shifted out of first gear driving around this neighborhood. I'm not going fast, and it's just a honest review and my honest opinion between two cars that have very oftenly been put head to head in comparison with the best drivers cars in the world. I would 100% always go with a E46 M3 if given the choice versus an E36 M3. E36 M3 is not a better car than an E46 M3. That's just my conclusion. And for those who do disagree, I guess that's just my opinion, man. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.